This video will be part of a series where I cover different 2023 NBA draft prospects for the Charlotte Hornets and talk about how those players will fit on the Charlotte Hornets. But I do want to say, just because I make a video about a certain prospect does not necessarily mean I want that prospect on the Charlotte Hornets. I'm going to be as objective as possible, and I want you to come up with your own inclination of how you think that player will fit onto the Hornets and if you think they would be a good fit for the Charlotte Hornets. On Friday, June 9th, the Charlotte Hornets will be working out both Thompson Twins, and honestly, I am not mad at them for it. I mean, you should do your due diligence. Both of these guys are both great athletes, even though with Overtime Elite, I'm not a big believer in Overtime Elite at all. It seemed like a lot of those players just didn't know what they were doing. The Thompson Twins were obviously the better players in the whole entire league. I don't know a better way of saying it, but they were definitely the best players in the whole entire league. But I will say they were older than a lot of the people as well. A lot of those players are like high school level talent, or maybe a little past that. Both Thompson Twins are obviously they're 20 years old, so it was kind of just weird. I know you can kind of say the same thing in college, but in college you have top players from all over the country, even all over the world to some extent, coming to college and playing basketball. Overtime Elite was just almost like a nitpick group of players, so that's the major thing I would be concerned. But when you look at the actual skill set, both players are very competent, and I can see their skill set transferring into the NBA. First, we'll start with Ausar Thompson, who to me is the better Thompson twin. I will say, watching the tape, every time I watch Amin Thompson, I think Amin looks better. When you think about overall skill set, overall what the player brings to the court, Ausar is the overall better player. It's just on tape, it does look like it's Amin. So when you see Amin highlights, you're probably going to think the same thing. But when you think about the actual skill set of each player, it's obviously Ausar. So we'll start with Ausar. And Ausar is very athletic. I think he's a tremendous playmaker, even though he does have a lot of turnovers. I think he had like 3 turnovers a game, but he cannot shoot. That is kind of his thing. He has developed a shot way faster than Amin Thompson has, and that's a green light. And if you're a team looking at, hey, do these guys have the potential to become a better shooter? I don't necessarily need to be a better shooter. Ausar has all the potential because you saw him develop from year 1 in OTE to year 2. Also with Ausar, I think he is just even though they're both combo guards, I think Ausar is more of a playmaker, more of a point guard, even though I did say he does turn over the ball a lot. A lot of that is because they're able to get to the basket so easily. However, when a big man is in there, there's not really much they can do. So they make bad passes trying to get the ball out from the paint, and I think that ends up a lot of their turnovers. But overall, I think Ausar he's extremely athletic. I think he sees the court. He has great court vision. To me, he seems like he's a better defender. And I think that that's going to translate to the NBA, because that quick first step that him and his brother both have, I think is something that can't be taught. And I don't think it matters the level in which you play. That's an elite first step, especially Ausar, just because of the fact that I do feel like he's a little more crafty than Amin, but Amin's a lot more athletic and just quicker, if that makes any sense. But overall, I think Ausar would be a great fit for the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, obviously, I don't want the Charlotte Hornets to pick him over someone like Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson. But when you talk about the player as a prospect himself, yes, I can definitely see the Charlotte Hornets and why they will be interested in Ausar Thompson, just because of the fact that he is another bigger guard. He can play next to LaMelo. He also can take some of the playmaking duties away from LaMelo as well and still be on the court with him at the same time, because Ausar in the NBA, I think, is going to be more of a cutter, just because of the fact that even though I will say he's more of a playmaker than his brother, it's still not to quite where you want it to be, where you have him handling the ball all the time. So having him as a second A playmaker is not going to hurt you at all, and he can play defense next to LaMelo. Now we move on to Amin, who to me is the more athletic of the two, even though they're both extremely athletic. But to me, his sticks out more on tape. 6'6", 214. I mean, literally the same as Ausar. He's not quite the playmaker that Ausar is. He still is a great playmaker. I think Ausar just sees the court in a different way. I think he's more of a guy that is going to could possibly somehow be your lead guard. Amin's more of the connector player, but he's always going to make the right play when it comes to passing. He has great passing ability. I just don't think he has the court vision that his brother has, and that's just me. But he does everything so well except shoot. His shot just has not developed quite like Ausar has, and even though Ausar is not he's going to cash every 3-point shot he takes, I will say that you just saw tremendous upside considering how he developed his shot from year 1 to year 2. Amin has not had that luck with his shot, but he is so elite. He's so good at finishing at the rim. If you're a team, you're still willing to take that risk because of the fact that how good he is finishing at the rim. And I know I said a lot about OTE's talent, but still shooting 61% true shooting percentage, even though you can't shoot threes, that's really good. So Amin's doing what he needs to do. He knows knows what his strong suits are and he plays to those, and it's hard to stop him. Both players are, they have showed the potential to be great defenders in the league just because of their athleticism, and just they have a certain defensive instinct, both of them do, that I think will transfer to the NBA as well, just because of the fact that they have active hands, they're very quick, and then once they take the ball, you can't catch them. So in transition, what the Hornets like to do, you will not be able to stop them. We'll just have a running team with Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, and a Thompson twin.